Hello, welcome to this week's WDSportz podcast with Sam and Ahmed. This week, how are you?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Obviously, Man United have been not great for my health. We drew against the Baggies in a 1-0 display, which honestly, for anyone who doesn't know football, they would think West Brom are the team that are second. It was poor from us, but we have to accept second place now. I don't think anyone's going to catch City. They're the best of the rest this
season. Do you reckon
season.
you'll get second?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say Leicester are looking good, and obviously even West Ham look like they're not going to slow down anytime soon. But I'm still confident for second, though. If we could get consistency back again, I don't see what's wrong with it. But obviously, you were quite happy on the weekend.
I was over the moon. Sunderland 4-1 win. With Charlie White scored 4 goals. I think an England call-up's on the cards, but
where does that put you now?
That puts us 6th, I think.
Is that playoff spot?
Yeah, but we'll. If we get in the playoffs, we'll win the playoffs. If we're not going to get automatics because Lincoln are just too good.
Yeah,
and there's too many teams above us now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
if we'd have played like this all season, we'd have been top of the league probably. But we've got Lincoln tonight, tomorrow, last night for you lot watching.
Yeah.
But I hope we get. I kind of hope we win. It's the Papa John's trophy, so it's not like a big trophy, but it gives the fans something to celebrate.
Silverware, still silverware.
Yeah, exactly.
I still argue that. I mean, I love anything. But, we haven't won anything in a long time, so I'll take anything we can get.
Yeah.
But
well, at least you're not the worst team in the Premier League at the moment.
No, it's true.
Because Liverpool have fallen apart.
Liverpool have
I don't know what's happened to them,
and I'm enjoying every second of it. I don't know what it is. Whether it's injuries, not the Van Dijk. Obviously, he's an injuries himself, losing him. The style of football that they're playing, that teams have suddenly started figuring out. Like I've noticed Alisson this season looks like Karius in a mask. It's like an episode of Scooby-Doo. They take off.
He's usually so calm, cool, collected, and he's that option for the centre backs to pass it back to. But eventually, centre backs are going to stop passing it back to him.
I know. And then against Leicester, I don't know what he was doing. Maybe daydreaming. Maybe he was thinking, I want to be back in Brazil. I don't know. And then he gets caught in it. And then Leicester score a cheap goal. In all due respect, it's very cheap to concede like that. And then new centre back. I don't know.
Kabak.
Yeah.
Well, I saw something the other day about why did they think he was going to solve their defence. He's playing for Schalke. I don't know if you've seen much Bundesliga this year.
No, but Schalke are playing awful, aren't they?
Schalke are quite easily the worst team in the league for a couple of years now.
They're like a team that, or like when Stoke went down, like a team that's always just near the end and is coming to the end of the road.
Awful Schalke this season. Yeah. And it's just like, well, the Bundesliga is not really a competitive league.
No, but like we'll come back to that. But when you talk like basically defending the goal that he collided into Alisson, I'm sure someone shouted "leave it" or whatever. I don't know, maybe got lost in translation, and it was kind of like that. It just ran into him, and then gave, I think, was it Vardy, a clean set of heels, and he was off. And it was crazy to see Liverpool, a team that was, Premier League.
Well, last season, them beating Leicester at the King Power was a massive turning point for the season. They went quite clearly at the top last season.
It's mental, and I haven't seen a team defend a title this poorly and this pathetically. Pathetic is a word.
It is pathetic. Yeah.
When we won it, and then Moisey took over. Yeah. However, there was a clear problem with that. Moisey took over. He had the equivalent of an Expendables team, which was everyone over the age of 35, besides from
he inherited a Sir Alex team. Yeah. Sir Alex was quite comfortably the best manager in the world at the time.
Exactly. And now they had no one, they had nothing. And then with this Liverpool team, it's weird because I know injuries have their say and all that. They've lost a lot of key players. I'll give you that. But again, in January transfer window, they didn't seem like they were making great signings. It felt more like it was like club signings, if that makes sense. Like the owners taking in, going here to take him or take this or take that.
I mean, they've got incredibly unlucky once again with injuries. That new Ben Davies they signed from Preston he's now injured for a while. So they're still having to play Jordan Henderson at centre back. And Jordan Henderson's always played in that midfield role. He's not a flashy player, but he makes that team work really well. And I feel like dropping him into centre back and dropping Thiago, because Thiago, I'm not a fan of Thiago.
No, I
don't think you're.
No, I think Thiago is very much like, you know, if someone gave you a painting done by an 8-year-old, but they said it was worth 2 million, you'll believe, oh, what a great painting. That's Thiago. And I know it's weird to say that, but that's him. He's not
great.
He's not great at all. He's an average player.
I don't really know what his role is, because last year I feel like I was very enthusiastic about, that's a great signing for Liverpool to pull off. He's coming from a Champions treble winning side to Liverpool. That's can only help them, but it hasn't. I don't think he's any better than Naby Keita. No. And he's been disappointing. Yeah,
and I don't know. I mean, Liverpool fans, if I think they'll defend him still, because obviously maybe he's not supposed to play that role. Maybe he's supposed to play a different role. Maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe he's just still adjusting to what he's supposed to do. But he just looks average to me. He looks bang average. He doesn't look like he does anything like he has a purpose on the pitch.
Spectacular. No, not really. I don't think he's and he's just sort of. Everyone says, he controls the game. But you don't need to control the game from that role.
You don't.
You need to break up attacks and be able to pass it to one of the midfielders who can actually.
You need to be a nuisance,
play a lovely pass.
And you need to get the ball going. You need to start the attack. But speaking of Liverpool, anyway, the Champions League game yesterday,
they went and beat Leipzig.
Yeah.
Which is strange to me, because Liverpool haven't looked great in recent weeks. They lost 4-1 to Man City. They lost. Did they lose? Last week?
Yeah, they've lost like 3 times in a row or something.
Yeah.
Like
they're not doing great at the moment, let's say.
No, they're doing awful.
It's just how bad are Leipzig to get beaten by that Liverpool side?
Yeah, well they're second in the Bundesliga, and then obviously the new Bayern Munich signing, which everyone.
Upamecano. Bayern Munich have stolen second place as best defender, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, you watch that, and he looked poor. I don't know what he was doing half the time. Maybe maybe the nerves of him going to one of the best teams in Europe got to him. I don't know, but it just looked so poor. It looked like he was a deer in headlights. He had no idea what he was doing, and it was very funny. I say funny, very weird to watch a player of that stature that everyone talks about and just perform like that. But you know, Liverpool somehow managed to get a win there.
Yeah.
In Budapest?
It's something like that.
Yeah, Budapest.
They're having them all countries around.
To stop COVID. Just confuse COVID, so you don't know what it is. Yeah. And then so they got a win there, and maybe we'll see like them go on a great Champions League run, like Moyes' United. We had a really good Champions League run in the league.
Poor season.
We were so poor, and you never know, it could happen again. Yeah. And
it could. You know, like when Leicester won the title. We can't compare Liverpool to Leicester. That's a bit fun.
Yeah, no.
That Leicester team can't be compared to this Liverpool.
I don't think that's a one-shot team.
But I feel like they've cemented their place as not the greatest ever Premier League team. Like a lot of Liverpool fans, a lot of pundits even last year were saying, "Is this Liverpool team the greatest PL team we've ever seen?" No. We can all agree now. No, it isn't. No. It was good last season, but this season they've completely crumbled.
They've absolutely dismantled. And I think that's what you got to look at. I think when you look at a team, you got to look about how well they do in the next season and the season after that. You know, you can't just say they're the best for that. Or you could argue for that one season, I'll give you that. But you know, you have to look at this longevity of this team and how long they're going to do. And I don't think they're going to do well. But you know, you talked about second place Leipzig yesterday. Him moving to Bayern Munich. Yeah. And you think that will never happen in the Prem, I don't think.
No.
I think if it did, the player would be absolutely hated. It wouldn't just be accepted. Yeah. Which is weird to me, because the Bundesliga almost gets this pass, because they got Dortmund, Borussia Mönchengladbach, all these
got big names.
The big names. But if you compare the league table, League Earn is actually more competitive.
Yeah, League Earn's a lot more competitive. Yeah. And talking about the Champions League last night, Barcelona were torn apart.
They were humble.
PSG.
They were absolutely humble. Yeah. It was Messi, an old goat watching a young goat. Really. And he just had to sit back and watch. You know, he couldn't do anything about it. I mean, Messi scored a great goal, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored a penalty, but it was a nice penalty.
And then Mbappe just tore it apart. I think Mbappe got a hat-trick.
Mbappe got a hat-trick,
Crazy, absolutely crazy against Barcelona to do that.
And they were all very nice goals. So I don't know if you saw the game. He took it round, I think it was Gerard Piqué, with about 3 touches and slid it past to Stegen. And it's
It's amazing. I mean, and
the ability to do that.
You know,
well, he's our age, and he's 22.
I could do that, but I choose not to. I choose to do football podcasts instead. That's what the real money is. But you know, when you watch that, I was thinking, bloody hell, this is amazing, because Barcelona are now this team that are going almost in this regression stage where they're not going to really be the best team around. Obviously, they have the best players still. Messi, I'm not arguing against that, but you know, I think every time Messi looks left, he's looking away.
They're doing what we saw AC Milan do a couple of years ago, where they just sort of crumbled as a team, and it was just like AC Milan had what, about 4 or 5 years of just mid-table mediocrity, basically.
I mean, AC Milan went through this weird stage where they'd go finish third in the Serie A, and in those days, I think it still is like that. You get the Champions League place. They get the Champions League place, be put in a hard group, get absolutely humiliated by everyone. They'll leave, go into Europa, get knocked out of that. And until they run out of money, but now they're on a rebuild, and you see how long it's taken AC Milan to get.
I know
back.
you're a big fan of AC.
Secretly,
Milan
and they're like now second and first, and fighting for the Serie A table, Serie A league title. And you know, you see that and you think, okay, but it's took them almost like 10 years. If you think about it, which is crazy. Do Barcelona have enough time for 10 years? I don't think they do.
10 years of their fans being angry at their managers.
I don't
they
know.
need to really stick with a plan. They need to get it under control quickly.
I mean, when they zoomed in on Koeman on the camera, it reminded me of an episode of like The Office with David Brent. He was just like, he looked at that.
He has no clue.
Bloody
he's not a good manager. No, I don't think.
No, I mean he's a good mid-table manager.
He proved it in England though, didn't he? When he was at Everton. Was he at Southampton?
Was that Southampton first? Great Southampton side he led. I think he got him into Europa League. It looked promising there.
That Southampton side's got that. It's got that structure.
Yeah.
That structure's behind him, but he doesn't really need to do much. He goes out. He's like, we haven't got too much money, but we can buy a player if you want him, and then he can build this side that's already fits his structure, and there's no problems behind the scenes. That Barcelona team, it's a problematic club. I mean, you can't go to that Barcelona team and expect to just have an easy ride.
Yeah, and when your star player in Messi of all players wants to leave, it's just I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how. It's an enigma. I think they have to sit back and sit down and realise that maybe Messi will have to go in order for us to actually survive and compete.
Yeah.
And I think Messi. I think it's obvious he'll go Man City.
The problem is, how do you replace Messi?
You can't
realistically,
Messi,
you have to sign a winger and a striker who are both world class to replace Messi. I think that's Barca's biggest problem.
Yeah.
That they'd have to probably go out and spend 150 mil on Sancho, because who else is there at the moment? And they'd probably have to go out for either Haaland or Mbappe.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. And I think Mbappe is always looking at the other side of Spain with Madrid. I can see him going to Real Madrid.
Yeah, I can see him going to Real
Madrid. Because obviously
he's said before he wants to go to Real Madrid, hasn't he?
And that's the next stop. But when you talk about PSG, I feel like, especially them, I feel like even for me, they made it to the Champions League final last year. They're not just a brand; they're a football team. No. You know, they're no joke. They actually are a good side.
Well, and now that they've got Pochettino there, because I'm not sure you're a massive fan of Tuchel.
No.
I like Tuchel, but I don't think he's a top quality manager.
Yeah, and his football's very boring. It reminds me of Van Gaal.
He's a problematic man as well. Yeah. He always falls out with the board. He fell out with the board at Borussia Dortmund, and he fell out with the board at PSG,
didn't he?
But do you think PSG have a chance of winning the Champions League this year?
I think they do. I think on that display, from what I saw yesterday, I think they're the strongest team in it. And I think, under Poch, they're still revving up the engine. They're still getting there. But I think, give it time, they'll do it. And I think and how this Champions League structured this season with everything with COVID and all that, I think it benefits them, and I think they'll do well. I think the saddest thing was from when you see PSG is probably how much Neymar runs the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's an issue.
Last night they did not struggle. Mbappe played left wing, which would normally be Neymar's position.
Yeah, and then Icardi was in the middle.
Icardi was in the middle, and Moise Kean was on the right.
Yeah. And
they still looked like they were a dangerous attack. Moise Kean even scored.
Yeah.
And for an Everton reject, that's
to score against Barcelona.
To score against Barcelona at the Nou Camp.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at Moise Kean and his career, I remember him just getting shouted at. Was it Duncan Ferguson?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking that's not right, and that
he brought him off
credit to him.
before half time, didn't he?
Credit to him. It shows in life that if you persevere and stay strong.
Yeah, well done to Moise Keane, and he's actually he's having a great season for PSG. He's still young. He was only 18 when he signed for Everton.
Yeah.
So he's still young, and he's doing well.
He's doing really well.
Yeah.
But then when you compare, I think that's what I mean. Like, we always don't really give PSG that much credit, and we choose not to because, again, we just think the league is a farmers' league. You say it all the time. I say it all the time.
Everyone says it. Football Twitter bangs on
reincarnate it. Like, it's
League and being a farmers' league, but is it anymore? Can we say that anymore?
And if
PSG aren't even top of their league,
and
they're beating Barca like that,
and if PSG win the Champions League, then
we can't say
it anymore. Does the title go to the German league, where we see Bayern Munich every year winning it with complete ease, and when Bayern Munich lose, the whole world is shocked?
Yeah,
probably. And it's mental to see that, it's happened like that. But credit to PSG yesterday. I think Barcelona, their time in the sun's fading. I don't think they'll do well for the next 4 or 5 seasons. I think it'll be a rebuild stage.
Yeah.
Like Man United.
Yeah.
Like AC Milan.
Yeah. On the other side of football, right? Non-league.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood actor, and Rob McElhenney. We can't say his name.
The one from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's the only thing I know him from.
They have officially taken over at Wrexham today. Well, this week, haven't they? And I wanted to ask your thoughts on what you think about them taking over at Wrexham, because there is something in there, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, no one buys a football club just to buy a football club. You can see on the top level, Man City, the Etihad Group bought City to promote their new Etihad Airways. Probably there's always a reason. The Glazers bought Man United to shop their ever-failing business ventures. Yeah. There's always a reason behind the purchase of a football club. It's not just because they like football. It's never the case. I think it's good and bad. I think there's some good sides to it. I think with Ryan Reynolds and Rob coming in, I'm not going to try and say his second name.
Like he's a friend of ours.
Yeah. But when they came in and bought the club, they furloughed all the staff and players and everyone around it, and refunded I think season tickets or something like that, which is really cool to see and really nice.
It is nice. It's nice of them. Yeah. But is it a nice thing?
It could be a PR stunt. I know where you're coming from, obviously, but a lot of people think it's just a media thing. And obviously, the whole thing is trying to get on what your club, I think, initially started with this documentary type thing.
Because that's what I think. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds has bought Wrexham before Ryan Reynolds and Rob. There's no point of trying to say something. That's what I think they've bought Wrexham for. They're making this documentary because there is so much money in it. I don't know if you've seen the Son.
That one for me. That was really interesting.
Is it a good documentary? I haven't seen it yet.
It's okay. It's good. It's got its good parts.
Is it a good documentary?
Yeah,
a good football documentary.
Yeah, I think. Well, a good documentary is supposed to make you talk about it. Yeah. And obviously, what the documentary did with Son and his father is trying to. It's probably more an opinion. Try and get you discussing what do you think? What his dad did was right? Do you think it was wrong? Focus on how the pressure he had from a very young age. Yeah. It made him succeed, but obviously there's probably a different timeline, a different person, a different generation.
He's had that same,
but completely flatline. Yeah. And that's again a good documentary because it makes you talk about it. Like before we started this, I talked to Harry about the Hotel Cecil thing. That's a good documentary because it's making me talk about it. And a good football documentary. I think a good football documentary is if you can link it back to football. Yeah. You can link the Son one obviously back to football because obviously he's a world star, but some of the all or nothings like the Man City one, it gets a little bit dry near the end when they've obviously won the league. Yeah. Because then obviously they go, what do you produce? But obviously with the Spurs one, we saw
the Spurs one was a lot more exciting than the Man City one.
Because obviously Pochettino's got all cut from it, and then Mourinho comes in as a focal point about Mourinho.
And Mourinho is a character.
Yeah, and Mourinho loves the character.
That's what I don't see. Like the Sunderland one is a great documentary because it makes people talk about it. Yeah. If you're a Newcastle fan, you laugh at Sunderland. If you're a Sunderland fan, it makes you sad again. Yeah. The last season, but it makes. But there was characters like Charlie Methven when he tried to change the walkouts music
to like a club,
and everyone just looked at him like he was in the office.
Yeah. Again. It was like a very David Brentish moment. And then obviously
do you reckon they've got that at Wrexham? But I know Ryan Reynolds, he probably does his research, let's be real. He owns a production company. So let's go down this avenue of he is going to make a documentary. Do you reckon this Wrexham documentary will be like thought-provoking? Do you know anything about Wrexham?
They're in Wales.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe it'll come off as a more
of only 3 football league teams with X in their name.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, obviously it'll be very comedic. Maybe it'll be focused on. Maybe it'll be very. I hope it doesn't turn too like in those American sports movies we watched when we were younger, where like probably a focus on a lad who wants to be in the big time Premier League. I don't know. Obviously, with that, is they're American, so they don't really understand the league structure. Probably someone has to probably sit down and explain.
I don't know Ryan Reynolds personally, but I doubt he knows a lot about football.
No, I don't think he does at all. And you know, I think it's a difficult one because obviously we don't know how they're going to take it. Obviously, as more details go through, perhaps they'll go for a very serious undertone documentary, probably focusing on aspects like of a young player's life, someone playing in non-league, someone accepting this is the highest level they'll get. Or they might go something for comedic, like, you know, follow Dave the Kit Man, you know, he and stuff like that.
So he goes out and buys the new kit.
Exactly. Like one stretch too small, he gets it. You know, I mean, it's interesting to see how it is because obviously with non-league now, everyone at WD and including us has seen this weird transition where it's gone to almost like people are taking it more and more serious. So it depends on how he does it and how he promotes it as well.
And this grant will really help non-league. You did a video on Monday, didn't you? Monday night video.
So for my on the spot series, if you want to watch it.
Check that out after you watch this. But
they did a thing where like the government finally listened to the FA and other non-league clubs and gave a 10 million grant to over 800 clubs, non-league wise and grassroots wise. Which is really cool because obviously the people need that. You know, obviously you think about who owns non-league clubs and grassroots clubs. It's no like millionaire tycoon or what a Hollywood actor.
They're usually millionaires, but they're not.
No. They're just usually local people who are in the area. The chairman's probably just a retired businessman or a businessman. So you know, there's not a lot of money getting pumped into the club. So obviously that is a great, you know, injection of money. Obviously, though, if you do the maths, I think 10 million divided by 800, and I did this before, I think, it's like 12.5 grand per club. I could be wrong, I don't know, I can't remember exactly.
On average, it would be like 12.5 grand.
Which isn't a lot.
What levels does it cover? Does it cover 6 to 10?
I think it's below 6, so step 7 to step 10. Because obviously step 6, I think, is
Step 6 is National League North and South.
So obviously with
I think they've already had some help.
They've already had some help, and obviously with that, with some clubs going on FA Cup runs and stuff like that, such as Stockport and other clubs like that, it really did help them. But with that it's the focus on, again, like obviously there's no reassurance that money's going to go well. I mean, some clubs could get it and then just panic with it and give it to.
I mean, a lot of clubs will just have more than 12 grand of debt.
Yeah, exactly. So just clear it, and then they're still on. They just hit zero. They're on flat line, and
so they've cleaned off the players' wages for the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And then how do you work it out then? And of course, the season still hasn't decided if it will hit the hard reset button, if they'll go again, or if they'll wait till this is all over, wait till Boris's announcement. I think he's having another one.
He's having one on Monday, isn't he?
Yeah, Monday.
Which I'm hopeful. I'm overly hopeful for, but you never know. We might be able to see some lower league football return, even university football.
Yeah, so if amateur, university sports, recreational sports can continue, perhaps the leagues will go, okay, let's just carry on. And then obviously with that is hopefully fans will be allowed back in because obviously we know
eventually.
I think realistically playing football, non-league football behind closed doors is pointless at times because obviously it's all about the fans. The fans run the club because then paying a £6, £7, £5 ticket even, you know, it really does help the club because that gives them revenue and they need that revenue. So I think it's a tough one. I think obviously with that I don't know, maybe Ryan Reynolds and Rob will start a trend where we'll just see Hollywood actors buying non-league clubs.
Well, I think it's Ryan Reynolds' production company that he wants to buy it for. But I mean, Wrexham might be the only non-league club who can survive this pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be crazy if it is.
It's going to be incredibly hard for the majority of clubs to continue. Like this grant will help a lot of the ones, especially at the bottom. Bottom, step 10, 9 and 10,
9 and 10.
and probably this 12.5 grand's probably saving for the season. They don't need to play again. They could probably be all right.
Yeah.
But step 7 is not even that low.
No,
we've seen teams go from step 7 to the National League.
Yeah, and then go on this journey.
Exactly.
Like Bournemouth, for instance.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Bournemouth are great.
We've seen teams go up multiple times in 2 seasons. We've seen whatever.
I mean, your rivals at the moment in League One is Lincoln.
They went out from the non-league to the League Two to now the top of League One, aren't they?
Yeah, and obviously.
But are we going to see that anymore?
I don't know. Obviously, after this post-pandemic world, and hopefully we'll be in that post-pandemic world soon. I don't know how they're going to do it because it's going to be difficult for them. Yeah. Obviously, players have had to have their seasons reset and stuff like that. They've aged, obviously, like your star striker, who's probably 26, maybe will he be the same age? Yeah, they haven't trained. Obviously, they've got their own jobs as well. And, you know, obviously some of them probably have lost their main source of income.
Yeah. A lot of them will be unfit, unhappy with the situation, because a lot of them will have lost, like you say, their primary source of income.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of them won't have that job anymore.
So it depends, and I think that's when we'll have to see how the FA and other things, FA, the government, you know, everything, player welfare, how that steps up and acts well, you know, if that makes sense. You know, we can't just have, you know, them just being able to go play, because you know, it's not like that. Probably we'll have to think of restructuring the leagues to benefit.
We can't let grassroots football fall apart.
No, if you think about, for instance, we talked at the start, look at Vardy.
Yeah.
Mikel Antonio.
Yeah.
You know, Chris Smalling, who's playing in Rome right now. You know, they all started from non-league football. And non-league football is that pivotal step, whether you enjoy playing football, whether you want to carry on a competitive run,
whether you think you've got a career in
it. You know, it's that aspect of an alternative gateway from here, go to an academy and play there. You know what I mean?
We can't lose that Jamie Vardy. If he didn't play in non-league, he wouldn't be the player he is today. He would never have made it.
No, because you know he's still physically fit. I think he's 32, something ridiculous like that, and he still runs like he's a 21-year-old. You know, and
I mean that's probably all the Red Bulls.
Yeah, you know, and cigarettes he has probably. I don't know. You know, obviously his diet's not there, but his ability's still there, and probably thanks that to non-league football, playing on horrible pitches against, you know, defenders.
Horrible pitches against defenders who just want to kick you.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that benefited him, but
that sort of brings us back to that Liverpool point. Like one of Liverpool's most common defenders this year, Reece Williams, started in non-league.
Yeah, exactly.
Against Jamie Vardy, who scored the other day against Liverpool. Yeah. So Jamie Vardy, a boy from non-league, going and scoring against the current champions, the Champions League winners from a couple of years ago. Yeah. And it's like we won't see that again. No, without this grant. So it is good from the government. Yeah, this grant. It is great. I think
it's a good step.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we'll have to see what they do afterwards.
We'll have to see if it's enough.
Yeah, because obviously the sport minister still thinks it's not enough, and he's having arguments in Parliament today about it. Yeah. Because obviously, you know, the most areas that have been affected by COVID are the entertainment and sporting industry. That's a fact, you know. Yeah. The sporting industry, I think a lot of people forget that. Obviously, come on, the Premier League and every other professional seasons carrying on, but with that it's only a sliver. You know, the underlying tone of everything else is not carrying on. You know, non-league and stuff like that. Amateur sports haven't continued. No. University sports haven't continued. No. So it is a big issue on that. It
is a massive issue. Thank you for listening to this WDSportz podcast. Listening or watching, I suppose. Make sure you go check out Ahmed's latest video. On the spot.
Yeah, go check it out. Hopefully, I'll link it down below.
And if you want to hear more about the non-league and the payout package they've been granted. And thank you. Cheers. Goodbye.
Cheers.